If caring about our bodies is normalized, why can't we accept care for our minds? We normally praise health and gym, and when someone says they're going to therapy or they're thinking about talking to somebody or a counselor, it's normally seen as a problem. After researching the effects of therapy, which concludes the reduction of mental health issues, early support really makes a great difference. To normalize therapy, we know that therapy should be normalized in society and not just for those in crisis. Now, I will move on to my preview of the 3 things I will be talking about today. I will be talking about how many people struggle in silence, as well as therapy being seen as self-care, and following with how therapy prevents problems from evolving into something bigger. I will be talking from Jessica Del Boyo's article. As she mentions, therapy is normally seen as a negative thing in society. As many people often say that they're going to seek help or they're going to talk to somebody, which can be a counselor or anybody that might be a professional expert, people normally react with negative feedback or thinking that they might be in crisis, or an overall experience of it is just being negative. This comes from a lack of denial and wanting to speak about their emotions, when in this case, many people do not want to be judged about how they feel or how they think or react, and they end up not talking about their emotions to others or to people that are professional health experts. As well, I wanted to mention an article by Kate Surfer about professional athletes that usually ignore their mental health, which does happen to be that they end up tragically passing away due to not wanting to speak out about their mental issues, and in this case, they don't want to look weak, and to maintain their professional image about themselves and their career, they don't seek mental health as important as other people, such as going to therapy and such. They don't want to do that in order to protect their image. So overall, they don't want to be seen as weak. And in this case, this did affect their lives, and even when support was offered to them, they ended up not going to therapy or seeking help from counseling or somebody that is an expert. Now that we recognize how many people ignore therapy and mental health, we should now look onto the solutions of normalizing therapy as self-care. So, according to Dr. Gorey Gatter, she states that regular sessions do challenge negative thoughts and flip them into something more positive. In this case, by building more constructive thoughts and taking those negative thoughts into something more positive, it does allow somebody to improve their self-awareness and as well to have more great of a confidence. In this case, if somebody is speaking one-on-one with a counselor or a therapist, it will allow them to analyze their emotions and to know about their thoughts as they flip their negative thoughts and aspects, emotions, and all of that sort of kind they're thinking about into something more positive, which will affect them out in the long run. As well, I did want to mention licensed clinical psychologist and professional counselor Patrick McElwain explains that therapy improves communication skills and quality of life. In this case of going to therapy, Patrick McElwain states that it is important that somebody goes to seek help, as it'll improve their communication skills just by having that one-on-one talk about emotions and how they feel overall. This improves the quality of life, as in some case where if they finish therapy or counseling, and maybe so in the future they end up having some negative thoughts again, they'll know from their therapist or counselor that communication is important, and they'll learn from that to go and possibly potentially speak to somebody, which can be family, friends, or maybe another licensed psychologist. Now that we have a better understanding of therapy as self-care, we shall now cover the prevention of problems from evolving to something bigger. Zia Sherrill states that therapy allows problems to be broken down into manageable parts. In this case, it is identifying this problem, thinking of solutions, weighing the pros and cons, and eventually implementing a solution. In this case of breaking down problems into manageable parts, this can be all from manageable sessions, which can be weekly or daily, and in this case, it will help the person seeking support to know their problems and understand that their emotions are validated, and they'll just basically get a whole concept of what they are going through broken down into parts to actually understand how they can change that problem and find a solution for it. As well, the Millway Wellness Team states that therapy is a safe space to prevent crisis by recognizing their emotions. As we talk to somebody one-on-one, which can be a family member or a therapist or a counselor, we'll understand our emotions as we speak it out to others, and we might gain feedback from it, all which is positive into thinking about how we can improve our lives by communicating with others. Now that we understand the impact of therapy, it is important to consider normalizing it as self-care for many, instead of just thinking about it as crisis, problems, and that therapy is only for people that actually need it, when in case it should be normalized for everybody instead of just those who might be struggling. Therapy should be seen as something more positive instead of negative. In conclusion, throughout this, we notice the negative effects of how people tied their emotions, and we realize that therapy does have a beneficial effect. We know that it should be a normal part of self-care, and just imagine how many lives could be saved and changed if we just accepted therapy into our lives without living in fear or judgment. Thank you.